Bahala! What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Menu 2 Sports. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing and going over some comments made by Tim Brando about the Texas Longhorns. Is Tim Brando just a Texas hater? Does he do his homework? I'm going to tell you why he's not necessarily wrong, but he is outdated. Un, dos, tres, cuatro. Let's go to work.
And you too. Let's go to work.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Menu 2 Sports. Tim Brando had some pointed things to say about Texas football and the Texas football program. And let me just say, as a Texas football fan and somebody who loves watching football on Saturday, who grew up watching Tim Brando on CBS, calling SEC football, calling great games, love the work that he did, him and his partner. It's somewhat disappointing to hear somebody of Tim Brando's stature go on another show and say the things that he says about Texas as if he was just some casual fan who is just on a Twitter space or typing along on his keyboard, spewing nonsense about the University of Texas and the Texas football program, just like any other Joe Blow that doesn't do his homework. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's no wonder there's so much misinformation out there about Texas and the Texas football program and just in general. I mean, when somebody like Tim Brando doesn't take the time to look into what he's going to be speaking about so that you can speak on it, not just with confidence, but with reality of the actual events, it's somewhat disappointing. So we're going to be taking a look at some of what Tim Brando had to say, and I'll be giving you my opinion, and I'm going to be hitting you with some stats on why Tim Brando actually is incorrect.
Texas, let me give you a few stat facts on Texas. Okay, we're back, really, team of this decade. We're back. Oh, really? Are you? Of this decade. Since 2009, they have had 3 losing seasons under 3 different coaches. So this is not just, oh my God, a coach just ran them in the tank.
Okay, first of all, why does it matter that it's been 3 different coaches? Who gives a rip that it's been 3 different coaches? It's not like Texas is the first football program in the history of college football to ever not get a coaching hire right. I remember a time when the Alabama hired football head coach didn't get to coach a single game because he took the company credit card to the strip club. Come on, man. That happens all the time. Tim Brando, do better, bud.
And that's that. No, 3 different coaches have had losing seasons. All right. Check out the number of players that have been drafted since 2010 from Texas. Now,
again, what does it matter? Okay? Yeah, nobody wants, Texas to go so many years without getting a quarterback drafted. But the reality of it is, when you have coaching issues, when you're having to fire coaches, it's because they're not doing their job right. And their job is to win games, but if you don't develop, you ain't gonna win nothing, which means the coaches weren't developing their players, therefore the players were not performing, and therefore the players didn't get drafted. And that's where that I would give you some respect if you talked about the fact that when coaches don't do their job right and when universities don't get it right, it's the players who actually carry the burden of that because they're the ones that get impacted by that. You know how many players probably could have made it pro and made a bunch of money if they'd just been able to go play for a university where they were going to be developed properly. Unfortunately, everybody can't play for Alabama. Everybody can't play for the great programs that exist throughout college football. So You go to the college that you feel is going to put you in the best position, and at some point you have to go to the next best thing based on what's in front of you. Like, not everybody can go play for the great football coaches. That's not the way this works. There's only a certain amount of spots. So Tim Brando is just all over the place. Let's keep going.
I know they're the preseason favorite. It's not like they haven't been preseason favorite before.
Okay. This one is hilarious because you're right, Tim Brando. Texas has been preseason Big 12 favorites to win the Big 12 before. And for those of you who don't know, he's talking about the Big 12 media that picked Texas to win the Big 12 in this 2023 season. And yet he's acting like that's a reoccurring theme. Like, Texas gets picked to win the Big 12 all the time and they just underperform. You know when the last time was Texas was picked to win the Big 12, Tim Brando? Oh yeah, it was in 2009, Tim Brando. Do you remember the last time Texas won the Big 12? Right. You guessed it. 2009, my man. What are you talking about? Let's keep going.
But and I know their quarterback room is loaded. It's arguably the best quarterback room in college football, although down in Baton Rouge they might dispute that a little bit. I think Texas, may well play the role of Texas A&M last year because the hype is again it's through the roof. It is through the roof. We're great. We're back. They're all saying the right things.
Look at these guys. They know he's full of it, and the Crane and Company, look, they do a great job. I love the show. I watch the show, obviously. You can see by their expressions that they're like, yeah, maybe no, I'm not sure. Like, it's not their fault that their guest comes on here and does what he does. It's just the way it is. But it's nonsense, man. I just wish people like Tim Brando would do better because they're not just anybody. Let's keep going.
Yours is out there. Hey, we're all on the same page. It looks good. The problem at Texas is not, the issue isn't just about the guy wearing the whistle around his neck. Okay, they've got a problem, with the alumni and with the significant alumni.
Okay, here we go with the alumni talk. Again, the booster talk. The same talking point that OU fans use when they're talking to Texas, when they want to tell us why we've been down like we don't know our own program, right? This ain't got nothing to do with boosters. This ain't got nothing to do with alumni. This ain't got nothing to do with nothing, man. This has to do with structure. Like any other successful business, college programs need structure. Let me give you a couple stats. The Lost Dodds, athletic director at Texas from 1980 through 2013. During that time, Texas went through a couple coaches, but it also happens to be one of the most successful eras of Texas football that Texas football went through. Over a decade with Mac Brown, consistently winning 9-10 games year in, year out, winning a national championship, winning multiple Big 12 championships, and making multiple BCS championship appearances, on top of being within games 2 times within a game, within a couple plays of playing for other national championships. One time, even going as far as being the stupid BCS formula away from playing for national championship. The reality of it is, man, Texas had a structure issue in between the Lost Dodds and our current athletic director and school president, Jay Hartzell. We went through a stretch with Steve Patterson. Steve Patterson didn't make it. They got rid of him. Mike Perrin came in, but it was primarily Steve Patterson who came in. He fired Mac Brown. He fired Rick Barnes. Okay, I'm not gonna blame him for that. Mac Brown, by the time he got let go, he wasn't performing. Rick Barnes had become stagnant. The team was up and down, and they failed to produce at a Texas level a couple of years in a row. But a couple of things he did that he didn't have to do was piss off the fans by raising ticket prices, piss off the fans by implementing rules that said, fans couldn't sell their tickets or what have you, and a few other things like operating the university in the red. You know how hard it is to operate a university like Texas in the red? You really got to be messing up, man. The alumni here is cheerful. The alumni here is empowering. The alumni here is always ready to help. Look at Steve Sarkisian. He talked about it at Big 12 Media Days earlier this year about how Longhorn Nation has stepped up and they've got record sales and season tickets. Okay, that's because the alumni gets excited and it doesn't take very much to get everybody behind you. You think Steve Sarkisian has culture problems right now? Heck no, man. Steve Sarkisian has a which 5-star quarterback am I going to play problem. He's got a how do I get all of my offensive line playing time problem, because I got too many who could start for any other program in the Big 12. Steve Sarkisian's got more offensive linemen on this team than he's probably had in any other team ever before. You think I'm crazy? You think I'm crazy? Carl Flood said just the other day he very rarely gets to where he's got 10 offensive linemen who can all play, and he's got 8 right now. That's about as good as it gets. Okay, Steve Sarkisian has a tight end room that is loaded. He's got offensive line room that is loaded. You can't compare Texas to last year's Texas A&M. Last year Texas A&M had a quarterback issue. All right, it was easy to see they were going to have issues a mile away. Steve has Quinn Ewers coming back, 5-star quarterback, 1 year in the system, 1 year of experience, 1 year in the system. The backup quarterback has been at Texas for a year. He's got a year under his belt, studying the system, studying the playbook, studying the way Texas wants to do things. And Arch Manning is our 3rd string quarterback, man. Arch Manning and Malik Murphy will be fighting it out for first string snaps next year, because if all goes as planned, Quinn Ewers is off to the NFL and either the Manning or the Murphy show is going to take over next year. So this isn't Texas A&M of 2022. Don't get that twisted. Texas has as loaded a wide receiver room as anybody in the country, as loaded of offensive line as anybody in the country, as good a quarterback room as anybody in the country, and LSU is not even close. Tim Brando, no matter how much you might want to say that, the running back room is ready to go. Jonathan Brooks has been sitting back, waiting his time. He hasn't played, not because he's not good, but because he was sitting behind 2 NFL running backs, my brother. So, look, man, I just completely disagree with Tim Brando. I think he's way off on his analysis of Texas. I think he had to revisit that and maybe do another show where he talks about actually looking into things. And if you don't know about the structure issues that Texas went through, then don't come out and say it was about the boosters. All right, man, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to visit us again for more content. Thank you for listening to Man U2 Sports. Please don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and follow us for more content.